Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, and I'm a blue dot in a red state, utilizing Tarot to help us navigate these very interesting times we have going on here in the United States. So, thank you for joining me and welcome. For today's reading, what I want to do is this. I'm finishing up this series of readings that I've been doing called The Health of. So I've looked at the health of the Democratic Party, which looks pretty good aside from leadership. The rest of that's looking, pretty good. I think we're going to see some new leaders definitely be emerging from the Democratic Party and these grassroots movements that, we're seeing. So if somebody's not going to, do their job and uphold the Constitution, they're getting primaried. And I'm going to say that's both on both Democratic side and the Republican side. On the health of the Republican Party, what I got is MAGA Mike is going to have a really hard time keeping that coalition together. There's not much room for him to be making any compromises with anyone. It's either, not horrendous enough for the Freedom Caucus, or it's going to be too horrendous for the more moderates. So kind of expect to see some of those more moderate Republicans, when they realize that they are not going to win their seat, expect them to kind of start siding with the Democrats and maybe coming together with them to put a stop to some of this stuff. So, and as I said, I didn't see that happening just real quick. I mean, none of this is happening as quickly as what we want it to. And then I did the health of the Trump administration, which if you look at that and go, well, it's healthy in that they're all sycophants doing everything Trump wants, then that's what you've got. But that is not, that is not, I mean, the courts are telling them no, and so that's just not, and they're firing the lawyers whenever they don't do their jobs, or whenever they're like, there's no reason for me to I can't defend this, and then those lawyers are getting fired. So that's what's going on there in the administration. So this final reading that I want to do in this series of health, looking at the health of things, is ending it with the health of Trump. He just had that physical, and he is sticking with that. He is 6'3" and 224 pounds. If you put his picture next to, like, what is it, Chris Hemsworth, and the professional athletes, one of these things is not like the other. And I'm sorry, but he is not Chris Hemsworth. He is not at all, or any of these other professional athletes. So the other thing that was really funny kind of about that letter that this doctor, released, is that besides his height and weight, is he has minor scarring on his ear where he was, supposedly, shot at. So, minor scarring, not scarring. That's a really scary ear that he's got going on there. The medications that he's on, and this was the kicker, he's so healthy because he wins so many golf tournaments. Okay, that's not really the... He is not the image of physical health. And then I don't care how many, golf games he supposedly wins at his own golf courses. I mean, it's insane. And speaking of insane, that's a really great segue into things that are being reported. And this is kind of more where I want to go with the reading, is Trump's mental health. Right now, you have reporting in New Republic. I've got it pulled up here. That's why I keep looking off to the side. Fund managers fear that, quote, he, quote, might be insane. And that had to do with reporting that was a quote out of New Republic, and it had to do with the tariffs. That these fund managers are like, there is no rhyme or reason as to why he's doing this. I mean, if you look at the, reported insider trading and all the, and he's bragging there with his billionaire friends, hey, I just made you guys a lot of money. And then Trader Green is in trouble. They're looking into, her reported insider trading and, what money was made. And so the health fund, or not the fund managers are like, he's losing it. He might be insane. And then the Wall Street Journal, a Murdoch owned publication, is calling for his impeachment based on his mental fitness. Okay, or I should say lack thereof. So what I want to do is just kind of a base reading on Trump's health. We'll look at his physical health. I want to look at his mental health, especially based on this reporting and these that's we've had these past several days. Okay, so with all that being said, I will go ahead and get started. Okay, as always, these are for entertainment purposes only, and I just want to start with a base reading looking into Trump's health. Overall, mental health, physical health, just Trump's overall health. What is that base reading? What do we need to know here? Okay. You saw me shuffle. You saw me shuffle. And excuse me. Any of my past readings, you know that I see this as Mad King Don. This is in a positive, higher energy card. This is someone who is caring, who is nurturing. However, in the lower energy, this is someone who doesn't have great command of their faculties. This is someone who is irrational, emotional. Cups is emotion, so you've got somebody, not in charge of their emotions, erratic behavior. This goes right along with what those fund managers fear whenever they said, they're thinking he might just be insane. Okay, this is the card that I would expect to come up when looking into what these fund managers have alleged. Okay, that is exactly that card. And restrictions, and this could even be, and this is also stress, anxiety, nightmares. In this deck, it shows someone being bound here, and it's kind of like being paralyzed with fear. He is so he's so afraid of not looking tough, that he does all this just insane crap that is just like, it's crazy. I mean, any person looking at this can look at him and go, you're not 6'3" and 224 pounds. These tariffs are not doing what you think they're going to do. I mean, they're making your billionaire friends even more money, especially whenever you give them insider trading tips like he did. So, I mean, this is the fund managers. This is exactly what I would expect to see coming up when I'm asking about his physical health and his mental health based on what is being reported. Okay, that's exactly what this is. I mean, this is not, this is supporting what these fund managers' worst fears are. Okay. And somebody stepping in. This is somebody who's stepping in to provide security, stability. And it could also be just ways that he's looking at, how do I fleece America? Okay, let me see what else comes up here. This typically is that is a woman, or somebody who's that caring nurturer who is going to be utilizing money and security. It's like, it's more about the security and stability that we have in our country. And right now we don't have that. Okay. And he's just throwing a party for him and his billionaire friends. This is, we've arrived. We are making money, and that's all he cares about. Okay. Should care about the security of our country, but he cares more about making his billionaire friends more money. Okay, long time coming, long-term planning. This is planting the seeds for something that you're going to reap the rewards of later. So this is telling me they've had this plan for a while. You look at that Project 2025, and yeah, this is not, I don't know that this is Trump, this card specifically. This is someone who has had this plan. They're happy that the plan is coming together. And if you saw my other readings, they see Trump kind of as that useful idiot. Okay, of how they're going to, fleece our country. And I'm almost afraid to turn the next card over, the Queen of Swords. And once again, and this is, I am curious about, is this swords is going to be legal? It's also mental. Okay, so like, what is this Queen of Swords? Is this going to be like a doctor that comes through that says, something? Is this the courts that are going to stop him? You get this. I'm curious about, because this card very well could mean our country and then this Queen of Swords stopping something. That, or it's, he's fleecing of America, and the Department of Justice isn't stopping him. They're, right there helping him. So let me look at what is more about this Queen of Swords. Moving forward, passionate about what they're doing, and yeah, they're just gonna. This is. I don't see this right here in their mind. This is not being stopped. Okay. Somebody who has planted seeds for the future. This could also be, if you look at, and I'll put that reading up, and it was, Putin, and will the real POTUS, I had to think here of what that title of that reading was. Will the real POTUS please stand? And what I got in that reading was, you've got Putin and the Heritage Foundation. There's a lot of overlap in their goals, and so they combined their resources and saw Trump as a useful idiot to get what they want. Okay, that's what this card is. This is people who were planning for the future of what it is that they want. Trump is being seen as a useful idiot. All you have to do is, he is so vain that he will do anything just as long as you compliment him. So, that is not somebody who is mentally stable. Whenever they can be manipulated so easily. Okay, the narcissistic personality there that he has on full display, and they're celebrating. Okay, this is the this is the fleecing of our country and the new direction that they're wanting to take it. Okay, so I asked about his mental health here, just base reading, and it's getting, he's a useful idiot. So this is not somebody who is a strong person. This is somebody who's a weak person, and all he wants to do is to make the people that are going to make him money happy. Okay, so that is these fund managers. Are they going to? Let's see. What are they going to do? Is there going to be any more calls? And this is, now that I'm looking at, I look at this more, this could also be those fund managers are saying, we got to put a stop to this. This ride is no longer fun. We want off the crazy train. Okay. So what are those fund managers going to do? What are those fund managers going to do? That card just they feel betrayed. This is not, whatever they thought the agreement was, this was not what they, no, they're not happy with what they're not happy at all with what they're being told, what they're seeing, what they're observing. Yeah, no, this is not any known politics or economics to them. That's why they're sounding, the alarm with this. And this is, trying to write it out with MAGA, the crazy train. What are we, they're going back and forth, and the tariffs are back and forth. They're on again, they're off again. And so they're just trying to navigate these troubled waters the best they can with MAGA. But, here's the deal. MAGA's crazy. There is no rhyme or reason to anything that they do. So just when you think you've got them figured out, no, they pull the rug out from under you. There's this crazy. And hopes and dreams. I get this feeling like the fund managers, they were so excited because they thought that the Republicans are going to be, more sympathetic to, their causes. And, they don't want regulations. They don't want, Elizabeth Warren is probably their worst nightmare. And even though recently it has been reported that they even were on Elizabeth Warren's side going, okay, we got to stop these tariffs. And it was kind of funny because she was laughing because, her resolution that she wanted to do to stop the tariffs was actually going to help Wall Street. And it was she kind of saw the irony in that as well. So you get this is not what they signed up for. And working, this is they're still trying to work within, the crazy framework, but they're really calling for this to stop. They are sounding the alarm. And I'm curious about this. Wall Street Journal is calling for his impeachment based on his mental fitness. That's a Murdoch publication that was allowed to, publish this. So, is anything going to come out of the Wall Street Journal. So this is going to be, those conservative Republicans, not MAGA, that are, you're starting to hear the rumblings of, maybe this guy isn't all there. Okay, so what's going to happen with that? Anything going to come out of that? Um, this is a feeling of, the main thing I'm feeling I'm with this is betrayal. That's the main feeling I'm seeing with this. This is winning at all costs, burning it all to the ground mentality, which is what Trump is doing. But, it's just the betrayal and these, I'm wondering who, everybody's feeling betrayed. I'm sure Trump isn't happy that the Wall Street Journal is saying, this guy is got to go. And the Wall Street Journal, and these fund managers are looking at this going, this is not what we signed up for. Okay. And this just dishonesty that's coming out of this White House. This is, that I see this as the smash and grab. And usually, fund managers, they want to make money, but they're not like this. This is not what they're. I just keep getting this feeling of feeling betrayed. This is like that shadowy shit that they are like, this is not. We're not comfortable with this. That's pretty sad. Shining a light in the darkness and this should be finding the righteous path forward. I also have been seeing this with the Trump administration of shine that light into these dark crevices of these laws and find me the law that we can manipulate so that I can do what I want. So this is also, if this is the fund managers and Wall Street Journal, and feeling betrayed, they're going to start these, and then you've also got this Three of Pentacles here. These backroom talks, these talks that are going on behind closed doors about what are we going to do. This is more of a bigger action card. This could just be them sounding the alarm here. And now we're going to be, it's like, we're going to be seeing these little moments of, okay, well, we think that he's he might be insane. Wall Street Journal, we're going to be calling for his impeachment. We're going to go back behind closed doors. We're going to do some more talking, and then we get this messaging that comes out of these talks. Okay. Where was I here? Okay. Wanting, I think that you've got people that are going to be turning their back on this administration because they just can't deal with the uncertainty of what's going on here. The arrival, this is a, completion. They thought what they were going to get was everything that they had actually wanted, but this is like going, this is not the happy, stable home that we thought it was going to be. This is not what we signed up for. So, I would say expect more of these types of warnings coming out. I just want to do 3 cards real quick here on Representative Al Green is filing articles of impeachment. If you remember, he's the one that got thrown out of the State of the Union for standing up and speaking truth to power. So he's filing articles of impeachment. I'm not really expecting that to go anywhere. It's kind of more of, Al Green wants to be able to look himself in the mirror and know that he did what he felt like he needed to do. And there's a lot of people that are supporting him doing this. I'm curious, like this is going to be the first of many. At some point, this is going to, I would like to think catch on. So, let's just see, what is this? Where is this going to go? His filing these articles of impeachment. Major transformation. I mean, I asked, and this could also be like, it doesn't go anywhere. I'm not really expecting this first time to actually go anywhere, but we're going to, he's creating a path forward. He's creating that, the next time it's filed, they won't be the first. That's what I'm trying to say. He's starting to garner that support just by doing it. Okay. And people are taking notice. I think that, and this is going to be, pages are people, they're messengers. You don't want to go into battle with a page. Okay. You want to go into battle with like the knights, the kings, that kind of presence. So this is telling me this is the beginning. This is just a start. This is starting that ball rolling. It's not, even though it doesn't appear it's going anywhere, it actually is, it's starting. Okay. And so much disappointment. As I said, I don't think this one's going anywhere. You get 2 more. Okay. So, 2 more opportunities here for impeachment to be filed. I wonder, let me pick up some of these cards. I'm kind of starting to get off the whole deck out here. Is he going to be impeached? And he was impeached before. He's been impeached twice, but the Senate didn't vote for removal. So is he going to be, is there going to be a serious impeachment proceedings going forward at some point? Okay. Because I just found that interesting that, while these first articles being filed, and they're not going to go anywhere, it's going to be the beginning of. Okay. So will there eventually be impeachment of him? Yeah, this is like looking out into the future. This is a card of looking out in the future. The partnership that comes together and is now expanding. So expect a coalition to come together, and that their next steps of action, they're looking at what their next steps of action are actually going to be here. And how do we contain him? How do we restrict him? How do we stop this? Okay. And real interesting with this, let me pull this up here real quick. It's being, I was surprised it was being reported that, and it was trying to remember, I think it was one of the blue state attorney generals. I'm not sure exactly who this was in the report, but so there is about a coalition of 75 blue state attorney generals and senators, and this coalition is growing, they said, and each week they meet on what is it that we can do, what legislation can we work on, whether it's at the federal level or the state level, what cases can we bring against this administration to stop. So it's like the senators are like, how can we provide support for the attorney generals, how can we provide support for the senators, how can we work together, and that coalition is growing. So we're starting to see that, at the state, coordination between the state and federal level of, between the Democrats on how to move forward. I am expecting at some point, just based on the previous readings, some of these moderate Republicans, and we've seen it. Okay. We saw Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins vote against whatever it was, was it that, CR bill, whatever it was they voted against. So we are starting to see that. Okay. So, yeah, let's see where this goes. Okay. So as far as impeachment, this is coming up as very much, they're coming together. How do we stop him? How do we stop him? How do we stop him? Just all of this, he's defying the courts. Stop him. This is like, if I was going to have, like the card, stop him, stop the smash and grab that, in the court cases, how are we going to legally stop him from this? Shedding light into a situation. I've also seen this as Pam Bondi. I don't think this is going to be Pam Bondi in this situation. No. Because with this, and it's interesting, both these cards come up because I have said, this card reminds me a lot of the Sun card, and now here I have the Sun card that came up with it, and you can see these two cards together. Okay, a lot of the same colors are being used. These sunflowers is representative of the sun shining the light, things coming to light. Okay, so whatever this coalition is doing, they're shedding light on this Trump administration and just all the illegal things that they've done. Okay. So it's like, what we see is one thing. We see one thing, but look, there's so much more that is being done behind the scenes. Okay. And, as I said, Fox in the Hen House, smash and grab. This is, lies, deception. That's what this is. So, yeah, I would say, in the, there is going to be a coalition coming together, partnership. So you get the Two of Wands of people coming together. And then this is like, what are they going to do? They're talking about how are we going to proceed forward to stop this? Okay. To stop just all of this crap that this administration is doing, stopping it and shedding light on what is going on. This is, and this this could be the messaging and the evidence. They're going to bring the receipts. They're bringing evidence of this whenever they actually do this. And I feel like, they also will have, will they have the votes in the Senate to remove? Will they have votes in the Senate to remove? Yes. 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 And these are all, I would like to also say, these are all three major arcana cards. I asked, are they going to have the votes to, in the Senate to remove him? This is the world card. This is a completion. This is the last card in the major arcana. Okay. So this is a card of completion. So this is like, you're done. The death card, major transformation, you're done. And the strength card, the people prevail. Okay. Prevailing over the orange beast. Okay. So yeah, that's so Timon's Row. I'll ask when. When. Five. 4, the Emperor is not happy, and the Justice card. So this is, with these cards and this major arcana coming up, I'm going to say this is sooner rather than later. I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting I was not expecting this. Okay. I was expecting that there would be other things in place. And this really could be that Trump defying the Supreme Court is his final undoing. Okay. That very well could be this. That there's going to be enough Republicans that say we don't defy the Supreme Court. Okay. Right now, it's like they're dancing. The Trump administration, they're defying the Supreme Court on bringing Mr. Abrego Garcia home. That is another reading that I'm getting ready to record here in just a bit, so I don't want to go too far into that here. But yeah, he's defying the courts, and this is coming up as, he's defying the courts, and this very well may be what is that final push for some of those moderate Republicans to side with the Democrats and to pull this together. If they change their party affiliation, we have a Democratic majority. So, as I said, I don't want to get too much into that piece of it because I feel like that's another reading, and this one's gone on, long enough. And so, yeah, what I'm going to say with this is, the fund managers, what they're saying, there is evidence to support that. He's not being, obviously he's not being truthful on his, he's not 6'3" and 224 pounds. That's laughable. And that, I think that we're just now, I get this feeling like when we look back, we're going to start seeing like, oh, that's where those cracks were starting to form. And that's where Al Green filing these articles of impeachment is coming in, is that we're going to start seeing, okay, that was the beginning. That's the tipping point, like it's starting to shift in that direction. And so just expect more people speaking out. Expect, there could be some, is defying the Supreme Court going to be that line in the sand that is too far for moderate Republicans? And I guess that will be a reading for another day. I will definitely keep watching this, doing updates on this. So if you could subscribe, I'll put another reading up here for you to check out, especially if this is your first time. Definitely check out some of my other readings. And as I said, I'll put up the reading I referenced earlier. I'll put that up here for you. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next reading.